This is the intro before the intro, because this time you need to be a bit more patient while listening to the episode. I had some audio issues because the file of the recording was not saved properly. So every now and then you hear some scratches in the background. And actually, the last 3 news of this podcast had to be re-recorded. So enjoy the episode anyway. And right now, let's get into it. Hey guys, this is the weekly update on December 7th, 2024. And I just finished the 5th of a row of alcohol-free premium tastings in the last 6 weeks. Yes, it is happening. And there are still some people that are afraid of alcohol-free products. I'm not, because I think this is a very, very huge business opportunity for every business that is working in the alcohol industry. And some people might say, well, the industry is losing money because of the alcohol-free products. No, it's not, because the money that is earned with alcohol-free products is also taken into the wine and drinks industry. Think about that. And maybe this is the reason why over 50% of this week's weekly update is dedicated and dominated by news from the alcohol-free industry. There's some other stuff from the celebrity corner dominated by Lionel Messi this week. So let's jump right into it. Have fun. Welcome to the Pinot and Pizza podcast, episode number 216, the weekly update on December 7th. And we start with the news from France. The Notre Dame Cathedral burned down in 2019 and was recovered with an invest of over 580 million euro. And it will be reopened on December 8th. And the responsible persons chose a natural wine to celebrate this fabulous moment. Why is this so exciting? Well, France is not the country that is famous for being open-minded, especially when it comes to trendy stuff like natural wine, but natural wine has been a thing for ages. Also in France, especially when we talk about Jura or the Loire Valley, and from the Loire Valley, the wine is coming that they chose for the reopening. The Archbishop of Paris has selected the natural wine made by Regis and Anne Reine Anouilh from the Loire Valley to serve as the sacramental wine during the ceremony. And guess what? They were quite surprised because one of the main investors in the rebuild of the cathedral was Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. And not their wines were chosen, but the wines from the very Catholic winery from family Anouilh, and they will provide their white wine, a Chardonnay-based wine, for the reopening happening tomorrow on Sunday, December 8th. And what I really liked about that news is not only that I recommended to choose a natural wine for your holiday season because it can suit almost every meal. Usually natural wines have more power, especially when we talk about the white wines that are made like red wines, talking about orange wine. There is a quote from the winemakers saying that wine has to be as close as possible to nature. Quote, "Our wines are natural, labeled vin méthode naturelle, which means that they are made only from fermented grape juice. So no filtering, no fining, no added sulfur, no sugaring up, no DSG and stuff like that. It's just pressing the juice, fermenting it, having a look over it, because it's quite difficult to make a really good, properly made natural wine, and then bottling it and sell it to the people." And they were chosen to give a huge amount of their 10,000 bottles in total. They only make 10,000 bottles each year. Isn't that crazy? To present them at the ceremony. So France is moving publicly into the natural wine space. Maybe one reason was that the winemakers are quite Catholic and have had a huge connection to the Catholic Church. Now, it's great to hear that such a wine was chosen for the ceremony. As they say, the wines are vinified without a traumatic process, without any of the inputs of modern enology. Wines neither fined, nor filtered, nor sulfites. coming to our next topic, it's quite tough to make the transition, so I just start diving into it from the corner through crime. Thieves checked 2 truckloads of a celebrity-based tequila brand. The brand is called Santo, and it's owned by Fieri and Sammy Hagar. And they became quite popular over the last months. They made a lot of sales. And right now, right before the Christmas, for the holiday season, 2 trucks were hijacked with an amount of over $1 million. Isn't that crazy? They say it's one of the toughest moments in the year where stuff like this can happen because we will definitely run out of stock. We're trying to work with our growers as closely as possible to maybe be able to deliver some more wine, some more tequila. But usually the process of making a tequila like this takes many, many months. So they definitely will run out of stock. They still hope to find the tequila again. At least one truck was able to be tracked down to the harbor of Los Angeles, as they call it, a known criminal cargo area. The truck was seen being offloaded on the street. The other semi-truck is still unaccounted for, and there's little hope of finding it. They said they have already calculated without the bottles for this year. It's $1 million loss. And they will definitely keep on going with the brand, working with as closely as possible with the growers, and hopefully in the future, this won't happen again. There were many news this year on this podcast as well, where many trucks with wines, with spirits have been stolen. It's becoming more popular, unfortunately, and due to the fact that it's way easier to track trucks right now, it's also easier to hijack them. But also in the end, maybe there's a chance of finding them again. And this is definitely not only tequila that has been stolen, it's also an opportunity for growing the brand. And yes, some people might think there are some other big tequila brands who could be involved. And no. And if you talk to the police, they might tell you that the thieves weren't shaped like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson or George Clooney. Talking about stolen opportunities. No-shows, the nightmare at Christmas party. And yes, everybody is getting into the holiday season, businesses and private people. And the biggest problem in November and December are no-shows in gastronomy. The survey behind this article talked to 138 businesses asking about their biggest issues during the holidays, and almost 30% said that no-shows without a cancellation is their biggest problem, followed by 29% saying that cancellations at the day of the reservation is still a thing, and another 27% said that fewer people actually show up than the reservation was made for. 15% say that short-term cancellations within 2 days is an issue, and still 10% said that cancellations 3 days or more before the actual reservation takes place is also an issue. So I made an episode on that because I have the feeling that the reliability of the people has changed. And of course, I mean, December is also the time where many people get ill. It's getting colder and you might catch a cold, but not everybody is ill. And if you have made a reservation for 10 people and one gets ill, you don't have to cancel the whole reservation. Okay, maybe it's the birthday of one person, but usually you shouldn't. Just show up with 9 and repeat it next year or so. This is also the main reason why I always tell people, please charge something for reservations. You can't cover the loss afterwards if the people just cancel short term. So please charge something. And I know that it is difficult to ask for credit card details or PayPal addresses and stuff when you make the reservation, but in my opinion, it would be at least one possibility to change the current issue. Maybe some people, while realizing that, will switch to another restaurant, but the closer you come to Christmas, the tougher it will get to find a restaurant that has still space available. So think about adding a cancellation fee to your cancellation requirements. This was also a part of the study when people were asked, do you have any cancellation rules in your general regulations? over 66% said no. So at least 1/3 has something in their general terms, but usually there is nothing charged and they just have to live with the loss. And you won't have a restaurant that is only 30% full of people during Christmas. It's sad, actually. So try to support gastronomy, show up. If you made a reservation, give them a call. If you can't hold the reservation, and try to be as reliable as possible. And talking about holidays, there's another issue coming up, and there were plenty of articles this week in the newspapers and online as well, especially in the United States. Food safety tips for holidays, because we eat way too much during the holidays and we also prepare more than we usually eat. So what do we do with the leftovers? We put them in the kitchen. Sometimes we forget them in the kitchen. It's also something I do every now and then. So please try to put it in the fridge as cold and as dark as possible. Freeze meat if you have fresh meat, and try to separate the food from each other. No juices next to meat, no meat next to dairy products, and especially take care of your dairy products and raw eggs. This is the biggest source for salmonella and E. coli, and you have to be beware of that. You don't want to spend half of January in bed because you suffer seriously. And maybe when you're preparing a meal, think twice how many people will come and if it would be enough. And if this is something what I like from in the French culture, for example, they usually eat for 2 to 3 hours, so they take time to eat, and it also gives your body the opportunity to feel full before you're actually full. Or let's put it in a different way. Due to the fact that you eat slower, you get the feeling that you're full way earlier than eating faster than your body is able to react on all that food. And we're not only talking about food, we are also talking about drinks. And this might be the reason why so many alcohol-free news popped up this week. But before we go there, I would like to talk about another celebrity news. And I was thinking about really putting it into the podcast. Lionel Messi launched a limited edition wine range called GOAT 10. If you're not familiar with the word GOAT, GOAT is the abbreviation for greatest of all times. And I guess in every sport, there's a discussion who is the greatest of all times. And many people are arguing about that. People are quite passionate about sports, so it's totally fine to argue about that. In my opinion, we should more talk about who is currently the best person in a specific sport. We don't have to do that. We should enjoy what's happening with our favorite team, with our favorite player. Lionel Messi already has published his Lionel collections, which included Pinot Grigio, Nero d'Avola, Grillo, Chardonnay, Primitivo, Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Merlot. So quite a bunch load of wines. And right now there is this Christmas edition, let's put it like this, the special edition for the holidays, which is called GOAT 10. Which also means that he considers himself as the GOAT. And of course, again, many people are arguing about that, whether it might be Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, and usually they're talking about titles, and Lionel Messi might be happier because he played for the better teams, or he grew up in a country that is easier able to win the World Cup with Argentina like they did 2 years ago. I mean, Cristiano won the European Championship. I don't want to talk about championships or who might be the greatest of all times when it comes to football. What I think wasn't the best move is to consider yourself as the GOAT, put it on a label, and just people will start arguing about it, and this could have an impact on your brand. And when you have thought, like I did, that Lionel Messi is kind of a humble person, right now this picture changed a bit, especially for me. So maybe this happens also to you when you hear about this. I don't know. Of course, it's also a smart move as a celebrity to launch products that are associated with your personal brand. It totally makes sense because you have a huge following and you're able to sell your products. But do I really have to call it GOAT number 10? 10 because it was his number on the shirt. I don't know. I leave it like this. Think about that. Discuss about that. If you want to, leave a comment if you're up to. And right now, we switch over to the alcohol-free space. And I guess the biggest news this week was that Finland announced new dietary guidelines advising their inhabitants not to drink alcohol anymore. And they're not only talking about drinking less alcohol, they're also talking about drinking less coffee and eating less red meat. These are the new dietary guidelines, and of course, people responded to that. And what I found really interesting was the interview with a trader from a portfolio company in Finland. Her name is Heidi Mäkinen, and she said there has been a lot of discussions once the guidelines came out, in particular as the recommendation with regards to meat products has gone down significantly, but I trust discussions will gradually fade away. For sure, some follow them more strictly, but as they are guidelines only, the impact might be quite mild. And this is what I try to tell people. Of course, you can argue how much you should drink or not, but if somebody says, we recommend you to drink less and maybe better, you should just do that. Let's talk more about moderate drinking rather than alcohol is bad for you, alcohol is good for you, and trying to come up with some scientific reports or bashing people who just came up with their report. We should talk more about moderate drinking. So guys, again, I know I'm repeating myself every time. Drink less, but better. Choose wisely what to drink. Spend your money on a great bottle of wine to share with lovely people, especially during the holidays, rather than just buying a bunch load of crappy stuff from the supermarket just to get hammered during the holidays. And no, if you have eaten too much, you won't solve the problem by just drinking liquor or spirits. This has definitely been proven by science. So talking about alcohol-free and that this is a big opportunity, we see more and more big brands jumping onto that trend. Casillero del Diablo, a wine brand from Chile, recently announced that they will launch an alcohol-free sparkling wine, which is quite unusual because you mostly connect Casillero del Diablo with bold wines. It's opportunities are coming. People don't want to drink alcohol all the time, and this might be the best we could offer to the market. And at a quite low price range, it accounts for £6 for 750 milliliters in the UK. It's hitting the UK market right now, so around about €8, something like this. A de-alcoholized wine from Chile. I wasn't able to find out where it was de-alcoholized, but I would say either in Spain or probably in Germany. And I think that the fact that there's no alcohol in it, it's only 22 calories per serving. And a spokesman from Conchaitoro said, "We're so pleased to launch this new Casillero del Diablo bottling in the run-up to the festive season when many people will be looking for a quality, non-alcoholic alternative." I haven't tasted it yet, but I won't consider a product that sits at €8 on the shelves as a quality alternative alcohol-free version. I mean, it's good to have it on the shelves, and the more brands that are entering this space will definitely help to grow the category and will also give people more choices. And Casillero del Diablo was not the only big brand this week that announced a new alcohol-free product. Mionetto, the famous Italian brand, launched an alcohol-free Aperitivo version. And Mionetto is quite popular in Germany and also in the United States. And it's well known, it became well known for its orange branding, quite recognizable actually once you know the bottle. They launched their alcohol-free Aperitivo version. And for me, there are two different styles of alcohol-free Aperitivo versions in the Aperol Spritz style. The one is brighter in color, so a light orange, usually a bit sweeter in taste and also more on this fresh orangey side. And the second style is more related to a Campari-based drink, so bitterer and a bit more herbal on the bitter orange side, usually a bit low in sugar. I mean, this also depends on the sparkling wine you're choosing for your spritz. And this one is more on this Aperol Spritz side. At Vinitaly, they have already offered different variations of Spritz versions. One was the normal Aperol Spritz with Aperol and Mionetto Prosecco. The second one was an alcohol-free one with the alcohol-free versions of Aperol Spritz and Mionetto. And the third one was half-half, a drink where you could choose which part of the drink you want with and the one without alcohol. And they got bitter the higher the alcohol level went. And I mean, this one should also be the softer version of an Aperol Spritz. What I like way more is take these Campari-oriented Amaros. There's a really good one in Germany. It's called Mondino Senza. I know it from Garibaldi in Munich, for example. And to mix this up with tonic water is an absolutely amazing alternative for an Aperol Spritz. Super fresh. Put some ice cubes in it and just enjoy your favorite drink. Mionetto moves into the alcohol-free space with their Aperitivo. The Mionetto alcohol-free sparkling wine version is already available for quite a while, and I tasted them blindly in parallel, the one without and the one with the alcohol, and the taste is very, very close. I was even very excited about that and went to the booth of Mionetto and told it to the guy over there. I said, hey, I just wanted to tell you, I'm super impressed how close those two products are. And he was like, we only are interested in alcohol. We don't like these shitty alcohol-free products. It's a product made in Germany because there is Henkel Freshenet behind it. We don't want to have this stuff in our market. Well, the Italians have a strong relation to drinks with alcohol. Maybe this will change in the future. We talked about that. There is something going on where they want to change the rules for making alcohol-free products in Italy. And last but not least, a thing that some people have asked me about in several premium alcohol-free tastings, is there an aged wine available? And until yesterday, I told them, no, it's not, because it's either too expensive or you need a huge amount of bottles you have to give to the contractor to get it de-alcoholized. And usually people don't have 10,000 liters of an aged wine available. There is a company in Austria that is called Zeronimo. The winery behind that is Heribert Bayer, and they are quite famous in Austria and in the United States as well for their Zeronimo line, alcohol-free wines. And I would say they have one of the boldest red wines without alcohol in the market. And maybe this is also responsible for the huge success in the United States. The brand ambassador is Josh the non-alcoholic. He owns a cafe in San Francisco, and he recently said on a podcast that he purchased 15 pallets of alcohol-free wine just this year. And he will also offer this Zeronimo Century Blend, which was recently launched. You can buy that for €50 in Europe or for $96 in the United States. It's a red wine blend, de-alcoholized, of course. Base wines are 2003 and 2005 Pinot Noir, Merlot, and Blaufränkisch. And he said it's one of the best things he has ever tasted. And it reminded him so much of the actual smell and taste of an aged wine that it gave him goosebumps. So he's all into it. He will sell it in the United States. And there is not only one more product available right now, there is an alcohol-free aged wine available. I haven't tried it yet. I would love to try that. Hopefully I get my hands on a bottle like this. And as soon as I have, I will let you know. Have a wonderful weekend. See you on Wednesday. Ciao, ciao. And last but not least, something I have been waiting for quite a while is an alcohol-free wine that has been aged. And Zeronimo is an alcohol-free brand from Austria, which is quite famous in the US. One of the boldest red wines without alcohol you can imagine. They recently launched their Zeronimo Century Blend, which is basically a wine from the vintages 2003 and 2005, blended Blaufränkisch, Pinot Noir, and what was the third variety? Merlot. And it is available right now in Europe for €50 and in the US for $96. And their brand ambassador is Josh the non-alcoholic. If you don't know him, Joshua owns the Ocean Beach Cafe in San Francisco, and he's one of the top influencers in the alcohol-free space. great content. Look it up, Josh the Non-Alcoholic, and he's also the brand ambassador for Zeronimo in the United States. And I recently listened to an interview with him on a podcast where he told the people that he has ordered 15 pallets of alcohol-free wine just from Zeronimo. Isn't that crazy? So the Americans are jumping on that train. Austria is getting more excited about it. We talked about Kein and Low, the first alcohol-free bottle shop that has opened this year in Vienna, which was recently decorated with the prize for the best business. Congrats to you, Lucas. And we will see more products like this, and I would love to try that. But hopefully I'll be able to get my hands on a bottle like this, because there are only 2,500 available. Of course, it makes sense. It's a rare product, it's a premium product, and some scarcity is not